Hey, my friends, welcome again to my channel, and I am here to talk about importance of studying your material. This is one of the chapters in Jim Kwik's book, Limitless, and in this chapter he talks about the idea of study and how to do it properly in order for you to upgrade your brain essentially. So essentially, what he's saying is that when you know how to study, you have the ability to absorb information. You become more competent in what you have to talk about, and when you're competent, you actually have confidence. And the important thing about being competent is learning how to get the right and important information from whatever you're trying to learn, whether be it in a book or if you're listening to somebody on a podcast, or even if you are watching someone's talk. Uh, Jim said that there's four levels of competency. There's the unconscious incompetence. It's when you don't know what you don't know. So if there's information out there that that it's there, but you don't even know anything about it. So for example, if you've never heard of let's say jujitsu, and maybe it's something that's really important to you, but you didn't know anything about it, then that's the first level of competence. As the unconscious incompetence, because you don't know what you don't know. The second level is the conscious incompetence. So basically, you know about this particular knowledge, however, you don't know how to go about learning it at the moment. So there's a gap between your knowledge of the subject and how to gain that knowledge. The third level is the unconscious. Actually, it's the conscious competence. So you know the subject, you've learned it, and you're able to do it, but you need focus. You need to be able to focus on doing it. So it's not automatic at the moment. So maybe you're learning the guitar, um, and or maybe let's go with jiu-jitsu. So maybe you're learning jiu-jitsu. um, you know the moves, but in order for you to do the moves, you kind of have to think about it first. But you're able to do it. The fourth and last level is the unconscious competence, and this is when everything becomes second nature. So if you studied it enough and you've learned everything that you can learn about it, and it becomes second nature to you. It becomes automatic. It actually gives out a fifth level, which is mastery, and it's at that point where you become limitless, and you almost become a superhuman. Um, so in order for us to be limitless, we need to know how to learn. So basically, we need to learn how to learn, and that's the idea behind this chapter of called study. Um, there's habits that we need to learn or develop in order for us to be good learners. First is the active recall. So with active recall, you're, instead of just reading something and then rote memorization and stuff, what you could do is create this practice of active recall. So it's in three steps. First, you try to review the subject, and then you close your books, or take the video out from your phone or whatever, and then write everything that you think you know about the subject, and then you compare your notes with whatever you wrote about. So that's active recall. The second habit that we need to develop is spaced repetition. So I think in a previous video I talked about the degradation of learning, or a memory. So once I think after 24 hours, you forget about 50% of what you've learned, and then after a week it's about 70%. So in order for us to combat that, we need spaced repetition. So there's apps like Anki, for example, that would help you do this. And what's great about Anki is not just that you're spacing the learning process, but you're actually spacing it based on is what you know you don't know automatically, or things that are not second nature. So if things are already second nature, you still review it, but with the Anki app, it actually space it a little bit longer. And those that you need more review, they space the intervals between the review is much shorter. So it's really great. So basically, but in order for us to have these knowledge and information become second nature and go into our long-term memory, we need to be able to um, repeat the learning process so that we develop strong connection with the nerve cells, with the neurons, and that is how things are going to be you know um, stored in long-term memory. Number three is we have to develop the habit of putting ourselves in a state where we are learning, or a state where it's conducive for learning. So we need to um, think about our moods and also our posture. So if you're slouching like this, that would negatively affect that you're learning. So you always want to be in a state where you're happy, where you have a lot of energy, and even your posture needs to manifest that. When you have that energy, that feeling of energy, that posture of energy, it helps with learning as well. The third habit is incorporating smell within our studying. So smells are powerful senses, or a powerful sense that evokes emotions. And like, for example, if you smell a particular scent, maybe Drac Noir, like a perfume or a cologne that I used to use when I was younger. If I smelled that, that would evoke memories and emotions that came from my younger days. And it's the same thing with a lot of the smells that we have. There's actually a couple of examples that Jim Kwik put on his book, of specific smells that actually help with your learning. Rosemary, for example, he said that a study showed that it helps with memory, and then lemon and peppermint helps with concentration. The next habit that we need to incorporate with our study is adding music, or like using music within our study. There's specific kinds of music that help. When I was studying programming before, um, I was actually listening to video games, video game themes, and it was actually helpful. And Jim Kwik was actually mentioning on his book that there's a study that Baroque music, music that are similar to compositions by Bach, are very helpful with deep concentration. It creates a sort of arousal within our brains that help us learn, that stimulates our brain, and prime us for learning. And he believes that it's because of the very like fast pace of the music. The tempo is upbeat, but we are all individuals, so we could experiment with different kinds of music. And maybe hip hop would be something that would be good for you, although some studies show that for sure, like like their studies show that it doesn't help. But like I said, we're individuals, so what might help other people um, could help, might not help other people, could help you. The sixth is the sixth habit is learning how to use our whole brain to listen. So basically, listen. We need to listen properly, and Jim actually has a an acronym for it here, which stands for H, which is halt. So you basically, when you're trying to learn, you stop everything, you concentrate, and you focus on what you're learning. Empathy. So we try to empathize with the author or the speaker, and that gives us more interest in the what we're learning. Anticipation. So we try to, you know, think about what we could learn about the particular subject, try to arouse some curiosity within the specific subject, and that also helps primes us for learning. And then finally, the review, which I've talked about, with space repetition and active recall. Reviewing is an important part of studying, but there's always great ways um, of reviewing. The next habit is learning how to note. So paying attention to how you take your notes. We don't necessarily have to be a secretary and write every single detail that speakers or teachers or like us and on books uh, are trying to teach us. We have to be able to filter out what's important. We need to first go into the study with knowing what our intentions are, or what the intention of the like what you're learning. So if it's for an exam, for example, if you're a student and you need to learn for an exam to get a good grade in a test, then that's a different intention. If you're learning to upgrade your skills for work, then that's totally different as well. So you have to learn how to determine what your intentions are, and then you have to have clear goals on what you want to what outcome you want from your notes. So if your goal is to just uh, get the gist of what's in a book, then that's totally different from learning all the details of the book, right? So you have to figure out what your goals are, and that would help guide you into how to best take notes. And then all of course we have to pay close attention. Like I said, we don't need to be secretaries. So when we're taking notes, when we're learning, we have to actually pay attention to what we're learning, instead of paying attention to what notes we're taking. um, and then on the last thing that I'm going to talk about is upgrading our notes. Like, how do we create or build better notes, write better notes? There's another acronym that Jim has for this, and it's TIP. So T is think. So you have to think about what value you want to get out of the particular thing that you're learning. So you do this before you even take notes, or before you even you go into class, go into a talk. What value do you want to get out of this? And then once you know that, I, which is identify, is you go into the talk trying to figure out what is the most important thing in that particular lecture, in that particular book, in that particular talk, and you base that based on the value that you want to get out of what you're learning. And then P is prioritize. So what value you want to get, what's important, prioritize which information you want to jot down. On average, we take about um, our rate is about 12 to 15 words per minute when we're writing. No, when you write when writing, and a speaker speaks in about 100 to 120 words per minute. So we can't really write every single information that is given to us. So we have to learn how to determine which information we want to take down. Um, so that's it. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you have some tips here that you could put into good use to help you learn better, to help you have a better memory, and to help you with whatever goals you have in your life. And if you have any thoughts about this video, any comments, just let me know. Just put it on the comments below. And if you want to subscribe. I'm gonna try to come up with as many videos as I can about this. I'm really into learning how to learn, developing my memory, and also building my ability to speed read.